Oh, hey there, mateys. We are jumping right into 1.2, which is all about order of operations. Some of you may have learned this as PEMDAS or PEDMOS, or many ways. Basically, anytime you solve a problem in math or evaluate an expression in math, you have to use the correct order of operations. We'll do a couple examples in class of what that is. We're going to be using this, forever because this is the way you always have to solve math problems. Hopefully, this is a review for you. If I go fast, or if this is not review for you, or you need some more assistance, you can open up the digital classroom for 1.2 on Big Ideas and kind of go through at your own pace. And it spells all of this out in much greater detail. Or you can get some help from me or Mrs. Rude during the day. All right, so order of operations, I want to jump right into it. This is just a little information that you can find on Big Ideas. This is what you're going to want to take some notes on. Write this down. So, anytime you have a numerical expression that's basically just a number sentence, and you have to evaluate it, that means simplify, get it down to one number. That uses the order of operations, and here they are. So some of you may have learned like parentheses, like PEMDAS. So it was like P for parentheses, E for exponents. The D and the M are multiplication and division. You do them left to right at the same time, though. And then lastly, you have to do adding and subtracting. And again, you do those left to right as you see them. So these are the order of operations. So this is what you need to write down. This is what you must know. The first thing you always must evaluate are grouping symbols. That includes parentheses, brackets, or braces. Anything that groups terms together, you have to evaluate those first. Second, you have to evaluate any exponents. So anything with powers or exponents must be done second. Third, you do all multiplication and division, and you just do those left to right like you read in a sentence. And then finally, the very last thing you evaluate are subtraction and addition operations, and you do those left to right just like a sentence, reading a sentence. Now let's practice some problems. Okay, hopefully you have notes on those. So our first example is to evaluate 16 plus 5 times 2. So what do we have to do first when we're evaluating 16 plus 5 times 2? Okay, if you said to multiply, you are correct. So the order of operations, if we go back here real quick, it says that multiplication and division has to be done before any addition or subtraction. So the first thing you have to do is 5 times 2, which is 10. Then you add the 16, so you get an answer of clicking. It's not going. It's why is it? No. Now you've seen the second question. Way to go, Big Ideas. You just let me click too many times, and now the 84 pops up there. Everyone can see the answer. All right. Anyway, so yeah, the first one's 26. The second one, we already see the answer on the screen. So let's just go through it real quick. Okay, if you have something complex like this, and you will have problems like this on your homework, the first thing you have to do is evaluate the parentheses inside. So if you have multiple parentheses or brackets, like here we got parentheses inside brackets, you do the stuff on the inside first. So we have to do the 10 minus 2 first, which is 8. Then we move to these little square brackets. Those are outer. So we have to do 32 divided by 8, which is 4. And then finally, you do the multiplication. So again, going back to our steps, we have to do the grouping symbols, the parentheses and brackets first, before we do any multiplication or division outside the brackets. So we deal with that multiplication later. And there we go. Okay, moving on to another example. So we got this big mess right here. Okay, what do we have to do first? Okay, this was kind of a trick question. So the exponent we actually will be doing first, but the reason why we do this exponent first is because it's in parentheses and we have to deal with the parentheses first. So the first thing we deal with is this stuff in parentheses because we have to deal with grouping symbols first because that is our number one priority. So inside the parentheses, we have subtraction and we have exponents or power. We have to do that 3 squared before we subtract because, again, exponents have to be done before addition and subtraction, which is at the very end. Okay, so what do you get when you do 3 squared? Ooh, hopefully you were paying attention when we did 1.1. So yeah, 3 squared is 9. So now we have 12 minus 9, which is 3, So you can rewrite this thing, and I would highly encourage it. Rewrite it so you have 15 times 3 divided by 9. Okay, so now that we have 15 times 3 divided by 9, what's our next step? All right, this was a little tricky because multiplication and division are done at the same time, and you do them from left to right. So you do them in order as you see them. So you'd have to do the 15 times 3 first, which is 45, and then you do 45 divided by 9, and you end up getting an answer of 5. All right, moving on to another example here. Here we have 10 minus, and then this is a fraction. There's like an invisible grouping symbol. So this 1 plus 3 is kind of grouped together on top, and then this 2 is like by itself on the bottom. And this fraction bar is the same as division. So I'm going to let you try to do this problem and see what kind of answer you get, and then we'll go through it. All right, let's see how you did. So first, you got to do the 1 plus 3 because that's kind of grouped together. So 1 plus 3 is 4. So we have 10 minus 4 divided by 2. The next thing we have to do is the 4 divided by 2. We have to deal with this 4 over 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2. And then our final step is to do 10 minus 2, which gives us a final answer of 8. Hopefully you got 8. Okay, and then we got some really messy ones like this one right here. So what do we have to deal with first? Yes, we have to deal with the parentheses first. Even though we have an exponent, parentheses are the first thing that we do in the order of operations. So it's not going to show up now? Oh, yeah, it is. So first is grouping symbols, which is parentheses. Then we deal with the exponents. So 8 minus 6.5 is 1.5. Then we have to do 2 to the third. What is 2 to the third? Yeah, 2 to the third is 8 because it means 2 times 2, which is 4, times 2 again, which is 8. So now we got 7 plus 5 times 1.5 times 8. What's our next step? All right, so this addition will be done last. We have to do the multiplication next. So we're going to do the 5 times 1.5, which is 7.5, and then times 8. And then after we do that multiplication, we're finally going to add 7 to get a final answer of 67. All righty. And then this one last example, just because this video is going kind of long, I'm going to save this last example. You'll see it on some of your homework. I'm going to let you try it out. It's actually in classwork. Would have been homework a couple years ago. Now it's classwork. You'll see it in class if you need help with problems like it's a story problem. So when you get to story problems, they're all going to use the same type of order of operations. If you get to ones and you have a tough time setting it up, just ask for help. Let me know. Okay, if this video is kind of quick for you, feel free to rewatch it. You can also open up the dynamic classroom in Big Ideas and go through all of these at your own pace. And it has way more examples and some videos. That might be helpful. All right, I will see you in class. Good luck with 1.2.